Look, sometimes you just gotta grab a deal. Not because you need the game, but because the price is so low it feels like you're stealing it. And right now, Steam is having one of those absurd sales where everything you kind of forgot about is suddenly $5. It's Josh, and today we are looking at 10 massive Steam games on sale for up to 90% off that you absolutely should grab right now if you haven't already. And we're starting off with Hogwarts Legacy. Look, it's currently 85% off on Steam, dropping it down to $8.99. And whether you are a hardcore fan or just looking for a massive open-world RPG, that is a wildly good deal. Avalanche Software basically built the exact castle everyone wanted to explore for the last 20 years. The flying feels incredible, the combat has this surprisingly rhythmic juggling system that never really gets old, and honestly, the sheer scale of the map is almost intimidating. I know the story gets a bit thin by the end, and the map marker fatigue is very real if you try to 100% it, but you don't have to play it like that. For under $10, you get one of the most intricately detailed game worlds of the decade. We put an embarrassing amount of hours into decorating the Room of Requirement alone. It is an enormous amount of game for the price of a fancy coffee. And next up we have Detroit Become Human. Interactive narrative games usually have the problem of feeling like a movie you just kind of poke at occasionally, but Quantic Dream actually built a massive web of consequences here. You are actively shaping a futuristic android revolution across 3 completely different characters, and the flowchart at the end of every chapter practically mocks you with all the choices you missed. Right now, it is sitting at 80% off, meaning you can grab it for just $7.99 on Steam. $8 to essentially direct a sci-fi blockbuster where your mistakes actually matter. We checked the numbers recently, and thousands of people are still playing this daily in 2026, trying to find every obscure ending and keep everyone alive. I mean, the replay value is off the charts. It isn't perfect, David Cage's writing can definitely lack subtlety, but when the tension ramps up in the final act, it really gets its hooks into you. And next up, it's Grand Theft Auto 4, the Complete Edition. Okay, listen, I know the driving feels like a boat made of jelly, I know the color palette is just gray and brown, but I will die on the hill that this is the one of the most unique story Rockstar has ever written. Nico Bellic isn't a psychopath like Trevor, he's a tired, broken man trying to escape his past, and Liberty City just keeps dragging him down. The physics engine, to this day, is still better than GTA 5. When you shoot a guy in the kneecap, he grabs his knee and falls down the stairs. It's violent in a way that feels real, and for 70% off, that is $5.99. You get the main game plus the 2 massive DLCs, Lost and Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony. Those DLCs alone are worth $10. Just be prepared to do some modding to get it running smoothly on modern PCs because the port is crusty. But for $6? Come on, it's a classic. Now, coming up next, we have BioShock Infinite. Can you believe this game came out in 2013? The flying city of Columbia is still one of the most beautiful and unsettling settings in gaming history. It starts off all, oh, look at the cherry blossoms and the gospel music. And then, 10 minutes later, you are throwing baseballs at an interracial couple and everything goes nuts. The story is absolute nonsense until the last 30 minutes where they tie it all together, but the gunplay, it's fine. But Elizabeth is the real star. She brings you ammo, she opens tears in reality, she actually feels like a person helping you. It is 75% off right now for $7.49. For that price, you get the game and all the DLC. The Burial at Sea DLC basically acts as a prequel to the original BioShock, and it is worth the entry price alone. It plays better on a Steam Deck than it does on most high-end PCs too, weirdly enough. $7.49 for one of the best stories in FPS history? Yeah, easy sell. And next up, it's Metro Exodus. It's sitting at 85% off right now, down to about $4.49, which is honestly kind of ridiculous for a game that still looks this atmospheric. This is less about constant shooting and more about surviving in a world that feels like it wants you gone. You are scavenging, managing supplies, and trying not to waste anything because everything matters more than it should. The mix of linear missions and open areas actually works in its favor, even if it feels uneven at times. What really sticks is the mood, the lighting, the silence, the sense that every step forward could go wrong instantly. I went back to it recently and it still has that oppressive weight to it. If you like shooters that breathe a bit instead of just sprinting forward, this hits hard. So up next, let's give a shout out to Kingdom Come: Deliverance. This is the anti-Skyrim. No dragons, no magic, just mud, beer, and a guy named Henry who cannot hold a sword to save his life. For the first 10 hours, you are useless. You swing a sword like a grandma swinging a newspaper. But slowly, painfully, you learn to read, you learn to block, and you learn that running away is usually the best option. It is immersive as heck, and right now it's 80% off, which is $5.99. Though this does not include any DLCs, it's still worth picking up. This game is kinda janky. The lockpicking on keyboard is a nightmare. The save system is cruel, but if you have patience, this is the best medieval sim you will ever play. With the sequel getting a very positive reviews, you owe it to yourself to play the first one for the price of a sandwich. So next up we have Max Payne 3. I don't know why this game doesn't get brought up more in best shooters of all time conversations. Max Payne 3 is rockstar at its most violent and stylish. It trades the noir comic book aesthetic for sweaty Brazilian nightclubs and sun-bleached favelas. But the shooting is perfect. The sound design of the guns, the slow-motion dive where glass shatters everywhere. It is a John Wick simulator before John Wick was a thing. It is currently 70% off at $5.99. There is a section in this game where you are sliding down an airport runway on a luggage cart with a minigun while a health bar on a blimp explodes overhead. It is ridiculous, and it is glorious. The cutscenes are annoying and unskippable, which is a huge downside if you just want to shoot stuff, but the actual combat loop is so tight it makes up for it. For $6, you're getting a masterclass in TPS action. Everyone needs to play Max Payne 3 at least once. And next on the list, it's Shadow of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Look, this is the one everybody loves to call the weakest of the modern trilogy. And okay, sure, the story about Lara causing the apocalypse is a little silly, and she kills more people than a small army. But the tombs? The actual tomb raiding? That is the best it has ever been in this entire reboot series. This is the one where they finally said, forget the shooting, let's make the puzzles really hard. And for $5.99, which is the price right now, you are getting the entire package. The Definitive Edition comes with all 7 DLC tombs, which are better than the base game, by the way. The challenge tombs in this are actually challenging. If you liked Rise, but you wished it had fewer combat arenas and more ancient death traps, this is your game. For 85% off, that is a complete steal. And coming in next, we have Risk of Rain 2. If I told you one of the best roguelike shooters out there is down to around $8 right now after a 67% discount, you would probably assume there is a catch. But there really is not. The loop just works. You land, you fight, you stack items, and before you know it, the screen is chaos in the best possible way. Every character feels different enough that it almost becomes multiple games in one. DLC updates added even more variety without breaking what made it click in the first place. I have lost entire evenings to this without noticing, and it is still one of the best co-op games if you have friends willing to descend into absolute nonsense with you. Just know you are not doing one more run. You are lying to yourself every time. And finally, at number 1, it's Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Imagine an action RPG with a massive open-world Batman-style combat and a system that dynamically generates personalized enemy rivalries that remember every single time you fought, and then imagine buying all of that for the loose change in your pocket. Because it is sitting at an absolutely stupid 90% off, costing just $4.99 on Steam. $5. The Nemesis system remains an unmatched piece of game design, creating completely unscripted, hilarious, and infuriating stories every time an orc decides to ambush you. The endgame grind got a lot of criticism at launch, but they patched the whole thing to remove the monetization garbage years ago, leaving behind a massive, incredibly fun sandbox. We still load it up just to cause chaos and mind control armies. For $5, you are getting an experience that literally no other game has managed to replicate, making it an absolute must-play that you simply have to grab. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so.